Welcome back to another episode of Two Drunk Guys in a Football Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus the Hammer Mary.
And I am Skinny Domestic. We got a good episode today. 2 episodes until the football season. So we have a lot to break, or I guess the NFL season, sorry. College football has already started. We have a lot to break down. We got a bunch of news, which most of it we don't need to go over because yesterday was cuts and stuff. So, and then now you got like practice squad signings and random stuff like that. So probably gonna not hit all that clearly. Of course, bad betting, random topics, and then for this week we're doing AFC and NFC predictions in terms of divisional winners,
playoff teams, right?
Yeah, playoff teams with that, and then for fantasy wise, we're going to be doing our predictions of who will be top 5 at each selected position, quarterback through tight end. I did it based off points per game, so I don't know if you did total points or points per game because that does change things.
Here's the thing. I did zero research into. I just did stuff off my dome, my head, of the fantasy players, and I just felt like who I thought would actually end up where they were going to be.
Yeah, because you look at it, this person had 410 fantasy points, but his average per game was 20 or shit like that. So
because someone like Justin Jefferson got hurt, so he was
so his
wide receiver 25 instead of wide receiver 5.
And like his average put him at like wide receiver 3 if he was like going based off of average. So yeah, I just went off the points per game, but I also did like Joe Flacco was like number 3 in points per game, but like Joe Flacco also played like 6 games. So I discounted him, but all right. I don't know how much news you wrote down. There's a lot of news, but we'll just see. I
got a lot of fucking news.
Go ahead and get us started.
Cowboys signed Linval Joseph. I love Linval Joseph, ex-Minnesota Viking, ex basically every team in the NFL. It seems like he's been passed around a lot. Pretty good. AJ Terrell agrees to a 4-year, $65.8 million contract, makes him the second highest contract for DB ever. Well deserved. I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's the second best DB. I think there's a couple that I think are better than him right now, but he's still a solid top 5 guy, and
I'd say
he'll be good for
top
that.
3 DB really. I mean, at least to me, I think he's pretty good. The Falcons defense, adding Justin Simmons and
sneaky.
Yeah, it'll be a sneaky defense this year.
Washington releases Riley Patterson and because they traded for Cade York. Doesn't matter.
No one cares.
Eagles acquire Jahan Dotson from the Commanders in exchange for 3 2025 draft picks. Former first-round pick, yeah.
Howie Roseman.
They did release John Ross too, so.
Yeah, well, he wasn't going to make the roster anyway, I don't think. We drafted 2 young guys that looked better than him in preseason. We even got rid of Paris Campbell, who I thought we would have kept on the active roster, but he's on our practice squad now. Wide receiver 3, probably the best wide receiver 3 in the league. Like, he's in the league right now, so
I'm
excited.
kind of crazy because John Dotson actually showed something. Like, he wasn't like he was good in Washington, but then again, you never really had a good quarterback in Washington. I don't think it means a lot it means more for the NFL than fantasy to me. I feel like he's actually one of the few wide receivers, along with like Roma Dunze, that might be like insurance wide receivers. I don't know why we're getting balloons, but whatever I did for balloons, we got.
I like it. It's a good pickup. He's still got 2 years on his contract, so. And when it happened, I figured the Commanders are probably going to try to make a push for Brandon Ayuk. We'll see how that goes. Because
That or maybe Luke McCaffrey might be a decent too.
yeah, that too. Luke McCaffrey could be like a stud, and they're like, well, I don't know why you would get rid of him still. Then, if even like you still, I don't know, but
That family's got pedigree though too, so I tend to follow the pedigree of the family. I mean, it worked with the Matthews, it works with the Mannings. Like there are certain families that kind of just can produce NFL caliber players that are decent. And
yeah,
McCaffrey's are decent. So.
yeah.
Panthers trade Michael Barrett, rookie linebacker, for defensive back Michael Jackson from the Seahawks. It's kind of crazy to see a team trade a rookie. That doesn't happen very often. They usually get it. I don't know what the Panthers are doing, but I mean, maybe they thought they needed more defensive back help since they did Darrell Jackson to the where'd they trade him to? The Steelers.
Sounds
Yeah,
right.
they traded him to the Steelers in exchange for what's his nuts? The wide receiver. I can't think of his name right now. Deontay Johnson. So
Yeah.
maybe they thought they needed more help there. Chiefs extend Creed Humphrey 4 years, $72 million deal. Makes him the highest paid center in the NFL.
Rightfully deserved.
Well deserved. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone on that Chiefs team, I don't care who it is, whatever they've been doing, it's been working. So if you've had someone around for a couple of Super Bowls, you might as well pay him at this point. Except for Kadarius Toney, I just want to put that in there. The Seahawks are sending linebacker Darrell Taylor to the Bears for a 2025 sixth-round pick. Still just depth. The Seahawks have made a lot of trades for some reason. A lot of little trades. It's been weird.
The Bears have made trades too.
J.C. Jack. Yeah, the Bears have too. J.C. Jackson has been suspended for 1 day for violating the personal one game of the season for violating the personal conduct policy. I don't know what he did really. I can't remember what
I
J.C.
think it's
Jackson
over
did.
like those issues he was having last year, where I don't know, but he's probably not going to get signed to a team at this point. I think with his off the field issues with both not only the Chargers and the Patriots, so wouldn't be shocked to see him on the field at all.
The Bears are trading a sixth-round pick to the Browns in exchange for defensive tackle Chris Williams and a 2025 seventh-round pick. Deron Blanton, the Cowboys defensive back, is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with a stress fracture in his foot. That's kind of big because he came off and he played big once Diggs got hurt last year. So they kind of look like they're going to have a decent defensive back room. He way outshined Stephon Gilmore, the current Minnesota Viking. So
well, yeah, and they don't have anything besides Diggs really. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Arizona Cardinals first-round pick Darius Robinson suffers a calf injury that will be considered a multi-week injury. The earliest he could come back is week 5. It's not good. Sorry. Seahawks acquire LB Tevin Gibson in exchange for a 6th-round pick from the Jags, 2025. Big news. This is big fantasy news too. For all those people that are talking about CD number 1 overall, you could now because the deal is done. CeeDee Lamb, 4-year, $136 million deal with the Cowboys, second highest non-quarterback contract in the league under, I don't know, this man right here, Justin freaking Jefferson. You thought he was going to get paid more, but he did not. And he did not deserve more than Justin Jefferson, I believe.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
And it's good that the Cowboys finally did it. It makes me, like you were saying with fantasy-wise, makes me comfortable picking him number 1 overall. Like I was,
take him. Yeah.
If you don't want a running back route, or if you're not if you're in a keeper league and you're already keeping a running back and you want a wide receiver, go take him number 1 overall. If he goes top 3, I mean it's still a win. I know a lot of mocks running backs are going heavy in the first 5 picks, but if he's not the number 1 wide receiver off the board, I would be kind of surprised.
Kind of have to with him. Titans are trading Malik Willis to the Packers for a 2025 7th-round pick. I know Malik Willis ended up going in the fourth or fifth in the draft, but do you remember the days where Malik Willis was considered the number one overall pick in the draft? Remember that? That's crazy to think how far that man's fallen to Will Levis, the man who drinks his coffee with or mayo in it.
Yeah.
So like it's like
Packers are good
Pretty
at drafting
crazy.
quarterbacks, I guess. I mean, he'll be a decent backup and see if they can.
Brett Favre was traded to him. It's just the future, They're getting ready to get rid of
Jordan Love
Jordan
already.
Love.
They're like,
He's
oh,
so
he's
good,
already
yeah.
old.
He's
we
already
gotta.
future Hall of Famer Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Titans release Caleb Farley, former first round pick. Kind of crazy. His NFL career is not what I thought it'd be.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And the fact that
He was a dog in college.
the fact you got rid of him says a lot too, because first round pick, giving up a lot. I haven't. I don't know if he signed with a team yet or not, but I imagine he'll be one to get picked up. He's still fairly young. So.
I hope the Vikings sign him. I mean, he's still young. He's like 25 years old at maximum.
Yeah, still young.
Commanders release Martavius Bryant. This isn't really that crazy, but it would have been crazy in like 2015.
Which
Like the fact that Martavius Bryant's still in the league is kind of wild.
he had a touchdown in the
I know he hasn't
preseason
really
game.
played for him. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
He was. He still will always. I will always remember the Steelers catch where he caught the pass, tucked it behind his butt, and then rolled. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he's like almost the epitome of Steelers receivers. Have like
Yeah.
a good couple seasons, maybe one or two seasons, stand out, and then be washed every after that.
Panthers release former second round pick Terrence Marshall. I was kind of shocked about this. He hasn't really panned out, but I mean, these first and second round picks that get released, it's kind of crazy to
But yet,
think about.
But yet, you still got quarterbacks that are first and second round on rosters that haven't done anything.
Bills waive KJ Hamler, so wide receiver. They must be happy with what they got. Texans released Noah Brown. I was shocked about this one actually.
He got picked up by the Commanders.
Really? Because Noah Brown, I know he's older. He's like 29, 28 years old. But he played really well last year with C.J. Stroud. Once all the injuries and stuff like that.
But he probably was it probably wasn't just him, the Texans doing it. I guarantee he probably had a little say in that too, because he would have dropped down to wide receiver 4.
Yeah. Maybe 5. They still have wide receiver that had
John
cancer
Mechie
too.
Yeah, John Mechie, yeah.
Yeah, John Mechie.
So, he goes to the Commanders and
a team that he could be fight for a third or second.
Easily be number 2,
receiver.
Easily at this point.
Chiefs acquire defensive end Cam Thomas in a trade with the Cardinals for a 7th round pick. I've heard some things that it might be a good trade for him. I don't know who Cam Thomas is. I don't know if you do, but they said that it's good depth. They might
anything from the Steelers defense lately has been trash. So
yeah. Keontae Mitchell on the PUP. And then Bills released Kareem Jackson. I was kind of shocked about that. But, I mean, he's penalty galore. Dirty player in the NFL. And then the last one I have is Russell Wilson is named the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Which, rightfully so, he should be for now.
Yeah.
I did see, though, that they do have packages for Justin Fields to come in. So you might see like a Terrell Pryor type situation where use him as a wide receiver, line him up at running back, those type of things.
I think that it's a matter of time before we see Justin Fields as a starter.
Oh yeah, unless Russ goes 10-3, like in the first 10 games, if they're not at least 3 games over 500, so at least 10 games, you got to be 7-3, 6-4. Yeah, they got to be at least 7-3. If they're not at least 7-3, I imagine Justin Fields is going to come in. Maybe even before that. Maybe it's got to be 6-2, 5-3, maybe cutting it.
I don't feel like Russell Wilson's going to be the starter for a long time. I think at this point Russell Wilson's career is going to turn to a journeyman's career a little bit, where he just kind of floats around teams, kind of like how Matt Ryan's career was, or Phillip Rivers at the end of it, where they kind of just jump around.
Yeah, no, I can
I
see
feel like
that.
that's how Russell Wilson's career is going to end. That's all I have for news.
All right, I have a lot more news than you do. Juju signs back with the Steelers, so
I did not see that. Weird.
finding his home. Ernest Jones, the fourth, granted permission from Rams to seek a trade. I think like 3 days later, he was traded to the Titans. Last year, he had 145 tackles, 4.5 sacks, so big linebacker. 145 tackles isn't easy to get, so he's very present in that defense. So the Titans got somebody there. Zay Jones was also suspended 5 games for violating personal conduct policy. No idea what he did.
Saw that.
Cardinals kind of liking the Wilson pickup in fantasy a little bit more if you can get him. Especially,
He's going to have a role.
yeah. Commanders will build a statue for Sean Taylor. That terrible memorial that they did for him a couple years ago. That got
danced on by Patrick Mahomes.
and just got slandered
Brother.
and everything. It's already been removed. They've taken it out. They're like, "Yep, we're done." And then now they're going to build a statue for him, which probably should have done from the get-go, but whatever. More on Commanders news. It'll no longer be FedEx Field. It's going to be Northwest Field, or Northwest Stadium. The Commanders reached an 8-year agreement with Northwest Federal Credit Union, so Northwest Stadium is the new name. Nick Chubb is on the PUP list, so he's going to miss 4 games. Dalvin Cook signs with the Cowboys. Not really worried about that
I did see that.
with Zeke's fantasy value. I still like where he's at.
It means something. I think, Skinny. I think that
what it
Dalvin
means is
Cook
Rico Dowdle
is more than Rico Dowdle.
and fucking. I don't think Deuce Vaughn was. I think there was somebody else, not Deuce Vaughn. But I don't remember. I think it speaks more volume of who they have as their backups, not really panning out to Zeke.
No, I disagree a little bit, Skinny. I like Zeke a lot. I kind of
Dalvin Cook looked
I'm not saying it's going to take a
not
lot.
good with his time at the Jets. He looked slow.
Yeah, but
he looked.
You take away the receiving production out of the Patriots. Neither did Zeke. And
Yeah.
the Patriots have a better offensive line than the Jets do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
But-
I'm not riding my boy Dalvin
No.
Cook right here, Skinny. Dalvin Cook, you know his name? You know who that is?
Dalvin.
Yeah, you don't know
Dalvin's
who he is.
done.
You don't know who he is.
Dalvin's done. Zeke is.
I don't know.
I'm not worried. Zeke's still going to get majority of the touches.
I'm saying, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised.
This one's a little weird just because he's a top 7, top 8 fantasy running back. If he wasn't
Kyren
injured,
Williams.
yeah, Kyren Williams is going to be returning punts.
That's noise.
I don't know.
I don't-
a wide
I don't-
receiver, a starting wide receiver doing it is a little bit different than a starting running back. I don't know. I don't know why it's just weird to me. But
I think that that's one of those things where it's coach talk. Like, if we need a big play, we'll put Kyren Williams there. That, to me, I don't worry about. It's like, remember a couple years ago when Josh Jacobs played in the Hall of Fame game and everyone worried, and then he ended up being the number 2 running back in fantasy. I'm not a big Kyren Williams guy, but I feel like I got to be a defender right now. I don't worry about that a lot. That doesn't worry me. I know that it scares some people. It is a little weird, but I don't think so. I don't think Blake Corum's. I think Blake Corum's okay, but I don't think Blake Corum's as good as Kyren Williams.
no.
He will have value because Kyren Williams is gonna be hurt, but I don't know. I don't worry too much about that comment yet.
And then last I had was I was doing what every man does, scrolling through Insta, all that, and I saw this post of NFL players with sons in college football, and I know there's some that we already know about clearly, but like Willis McGahee has a son in college football now.
Antonio Gates.
And Brian Urlacher. I know we know Antonio Gates. Brian Urlacher, his son's playing college ball. Chad Pennington, Matt
knew
Hasselbeck,
that.
Donald Driver. Like, I'm like,
Someone
wow.
else has who's Kubiak.
There's quite more. There's a whole list of people, but
Clint
these
Kubiak's kid.
these were some
Or
of the
not
ones
Clint
that I
Kubiak,
like.
Gary Kubiak's kid or
These are
someone.
some of the ones that I didn't realize were like, holy shit, you know. Yeah, that's all I got for news. I mean, over these next couple days, we're gonna have more practice squad signings, more signings to the rosters, those type of things.
It's gonna be a lot going on from us
Yeah.
at least this week.
Bad betting didn't pan out last week, so Wyndham
Oh,
Clark,
wow.
Wyndham Clark was like top 10, I think, so it wasn't like too far off. But the guy that was number 50 coming into the BMW Championship and the FedEx Cup standings, number 50 won it all. So I don't know. I don't know what his.
So I hate golf.
So this bad betting, I feel very confident on these two. These are long-term bets, so we'll come back to these we'll have to come back to later. I'm going to have Dylan Gabriel winning the Heisman with Oregon. Fuck it. Might as well.
Terrible.
And then Marvin Harrison Jr. leading the rookie class in receiving yards.
That's a safe bet.
So
Probably
yeah.
both of them. You literally took the favorites for both.
Yeah, so $10 pays you $140. So long-term investment, decent little payout.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Random topics.
All right. You want to start or you want me to start?
You can start.
18 seconds on the clock. You're on your own 30 with 2 timeouts. Who's your quarterback wide receiver / tight end duo?
So I only can pick one. I can't pick 3, just 2. So quarterback and then either a wide receiver or tight end.
Yeah, pass catcher.
Well, it
could be a running back.
Well, it seems like over the last couple of years, 30 seconds is a lifetime, especially with 2 timeouts. And as of recent, Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce have been fucking 13 seconds. I mean, 13 seconds.
Yeah.
In 2 timeouts. Like, just the amount of times they've done that just to the Bills. Last second stuff.
Oh, did I say 30 seconds?
Yeah, I think you did.
I apologize. 18 seconds.
18 seconds. Okay, maybe you did say 18. But I think the one that has shown they can do it a lot, I'm going to have to probably go Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce. They've done it multiple times.
That's your duo?
Probably, yeah.
I'm more of a Stephon Diggs, Case Keenum guy, but But yeah, Travis.
That was
Kelce,
luck, all right. That was because people don't know how to fucking tackle, but
it still happened. Though.
it happened one time.
It still happened.
Patty Mahomes has done it.
It still happened.
They've done shit like that to the Bills so many times. It's ridiculous. 13 seconds.
Because Josh Allen
13 seconds. 13 fucking seconds. All right. My next one is, if you had to live in one TV universe, what TV universe would it be? Like TV show.
You gotta live in one TV universe?
Yeah. The Simpsons.
No. I'd live in I want to be a British gangster, dude. Let me be in the Peaky Blinders or something.
What era is that? Like the 1920s?
Yeah, 1920s, British mob boss, dude. That'd be cool.
All dirty and gross and
all dirty, You're eating bread that's made out of sewage water.
Let's hear
your.
If you're going to be in the Peaky Blinders in Britain, let's hear your accent.
Thomas Shelby. That's all you get.
That's all I get. All right, what's your next one?
That's all you get. You can only have beef, chicken, or pork the rest of your life. What's your pick?
Oh, chicken, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Chicken's your choice?
Wait.
You would be. You would be a chicken guy, wouldn't you?
Nah. Give me pork, because I can have a pork tenderloin. Tenderloins are my shit. And then you add like ribs and pulled pork. I'd probably go pork.
Really?
Like a pork steak is good, but like a beef steak's better. But pork ribs are better than beef ribs. A pork tenderloin is better than like. I like tenderloins more than burgers personally. So.
I'd rather have beef.
Well, you also don't eat pork or whatever, don't you? So like one of those is already not an option.
I eat bacon. Is bacon pork?
Is that like the only pork you eat?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty easy to give up one thing of pork while I'm out here like, I mean, I don't mind a some deli ham, depending on what kind of ham. But yeah, I'd probably say pork, I guess, after thinking about it, because chicken
Great choice, Skinny. Great choice.
All right, I only have one more, but if you had to eat the same meal at least once a day, what would that meal be? So
Steak.
Steak at least once a day?
Yeah. I could eat steak every day. Sure, my arteries would it'd kill me probably eventually, but at least I'd be happy.
Yeah, you could have steak for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It didn't really matter.
Dude, steak goes with everything. Steak
Yeah.
tacos, steak and eggs,
Well, like,
steak by
and
itself.
like you have different types of steaks, so like you'd have different
Yeah.
steaks, different cuts, all that. So yeah, no, that's a good answer. I like that one.
Yeah. Well, I thought so. I thought it was a good answer.
Do you have any more?
Nope, that's all I had. Just two.
Okay, so we're gonna move into which one do you want to do first? Fantasy
You pick.
or
I have the division leaders,
okay,
like
yeah.
the division standings.
Yeah, let's do
like that.
division stuff. So let's start with the AFC.
Oh, AFC. So that's my back page.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Okay.
We'll start with the NFC if it's first. It's fine.
I got NFC North. I did it at North. Never eat shredded wheat.
Yeah,
so
well,
I
mine
did
are
it
all
kinda
right
that
next to each other, so I can do whatever. So
way. NFC North. My division leaders. The Detroit Lions.
yep,
I can't bet against the Lions. I just feel like they're the most. They're all pretty decent teams. Pretty complete. My second team is the Packers. Third team is the Bears, and then fourth team is the Vikings. I put the Vikings at last. Two reasons why I put the Vikings at last. I don't know what this Vikings team is going to be. It could be either really good or really shit. It depends. It honestly depends on how good Sam Darnold is, in my opinion.
It's gonna have to be really gritty. Gonna have to
Yeah.
Gonna have to put up a lot of points because I feel like that defense isn't gonna, especially with the DB work, it's gonna be issues there. But I had the same exact order as you: Lions, Packers, Bears, Vikings. So
I wouldn't be surprised if the Vikings are better than the Bears and the Packers. I think it's kind of hard to be better than the Lions right now with all they're doing and the momentum they have with Dan Campbell. They can be a less than good team, but be less than. They don't have to be a competitor to be competitive, if that makes sense.
yeah, no, I agree.
NFC East, you'll be surprised. I have the Eagles as number one. I have the Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants.
Oh, you have the Commanders finishing higher than the Giants. All right, I respect.
Yeah,
it.
I think I'm pretty high on Jaden Daniels this year. I think Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones.
I think a lot of people would say that.
So I think that the Commanders could have an okay team. I think that just having good quarterback win you sometimes. I wanted to put the Cowboys as number one, but I just couldn't justify it just because I feel like Dak's in a contract year. Micah Parsons in a contract year. They just paid CD. I feel like there's a lot of turmoil in Dallas right now, and I just don't feel like once you have that turmoil, you can gel. The Eagles did upgrade their team, of course, because they always do. Um, I believe that getting rid of your offensive coordinator and hiring Kellen Moore was a good one. I feel like Jalen Hurts is going to be good. I feel like AJ Brown, even Saquon Barkley will be a good runner behind this team. I don't know if he'll be good in fantasy. I haven't decided that yet, but I still think that this team is pretty complete.
Yeah, I agree. Eagles, Cowboys. I have the Giants finishing one game ahead of the Commanders just solely for a experience standpoint. I gave them the slight edge over Daniel Jones might be able to help win a game that Jane Daniels might blow or something, just being a rookie. So, that's what I got. I mean, pretty much similar, just one different there.
Yeah. NFC South, I got the Falcons winning it. I think Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in that division. I don't think it's close. I have the Bucks as second. I love me some Baker Mayfield, but I just don't. This Bucks team is just. I like the Bucks, but don't they just feel meh to you? Like it's meh. It's the Bucks.
They haven't really made any upgrades. Haven't really anything special.
They're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
They won a playoff game last year. Baker Mayfield's going to be okay. I just don't think this team is. It's not. I have the Saints and the Panthers. I do believe that what's his face is going to have a better year this year. I think Bryce Young's going to prove that he's the first overall pick last year. I just don't trust the Panthers yet. I still think they got a lot of moving, and I think the Saints have Derek Carr. Their defense is still all right. Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara will feast. They still got Taysom Hill. I just feel like this. I feel the Saints over the.
And I guess Rattlers looked good at camp and preseason stuff too.
Yeah.
So. I have the same order. Falcons, I just think I was going to have the Bucks over them until they've made these defensive moves, until they added Simmons and then signed Judon. I know Judon is a question mark.
Yeah, Judon was a crazy
if
good.
he's available
Crazy
right away, but I think once he is, that's going to be a difference factor. The Bucks are very meh. Baker's also now on a contract, so Baker's not fighting for anything really anymore. What is that?
Nope.
What did that look like the last time? Saints, I have 6-11. I think Rattler, if Derek Carr doesn't pan out, they're gonna move him. Not move him, but they'll bench him, and they won't be afraid to play Rattler. And then the Panthers, just you bring in a new head coach, you struggled last year. You're going to struggle again this year, but you're going to have a little bit of an improvement. So, I have the exact same order as you do.
NFC West. I got the Niners. This was a really hard one to do. So I feel like there is a chance that we have different orders. I got the Rams as number 2. Do you have the Rams as number 2 as well?
No. Yeah, I do.
Really? I got the Rams. I did the Cardinals over the Seahawks.
I did too.
Really?
Yep.
So I think that, one, the 49ers, best team in the league. Most balanced team, have all the positions you need. Rams, I'm really high on the Rams. I feel like a healthy Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams. This defense was scrappy. This team is, I feel like this team could fight for a playoff spot. I don't know if they'll be in it. We'll talk about it later. But I like the Rams. The Cardinals, I think the Cardinals are going to be a heck of a team this year. I don't think they're going to be a crazy playoff contention team, but I feel like they're going to be a dark horse team, especially for fantasy. Kyler Murray is going to be on a run to be a monster at the positions. I really feel like he's set up for success with everything he's got. And then I'm not vibing with the Seahawks. I don't like what they did with quarterback. I honestly am not a big Geno fan. He was very inefficient his first year once he was, Geno Smith's comeback season. He played good, but he was very inefficient. If you look at the metrics, it wasn't really doable again. Last year he kind of sucked. And then they have Sam Howell. They did a couple things in the offseason, but I don't feel this team. It's a talented team, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of talent. I just don't feel it.
Yeah, I have the exact same order too. I have the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks pretty much. Rams 7 wins, Cardinals 6 wins, Seahawks 5 wins. Because I actually went down, I broke things down. I'm like, I went deeper into it. I spent over 2 hours on this stuff. But the Seahawks didn't really do anything that's impressive. you have Kenneth Walker, who is going to be, I think, carrying the team like he has the last couple of years. But then he has been, he's had his injuries and issues where you miss him for a couple games. You bring in Sam Howell. I think Sam Howell over Geno Smith in terms of the passing game I'm a little more confident in. I know he'll sling it better. Still may throw the interceptions and things, but your passing game might improve there. But it's that offensive line and it's that defense. It has not been the same. That defense has not been the same, and their offensive line has not been very good. So, yeah, I think the 49ers pretty much coast with that division, with the closest team being 4 to 5 games away from them.
So AFC North got my boys, the Bengals, winning it all. I have the Ravens, Steelers, and then Browns. This is a hard division to rank. Very, very hard division to rank. Very close, very good teams in this. I just feel like Joe Burrow, you look back at it, Joe Burrow always has a knack of like beating out the MVPs, beating out people for Super Bowls. Like Joe Burrow's really good. We haven't seen a healthy Joe Burrow in a couple of years, but that doesn't mean Joe Burrow is bad. I think Joe Burrow's really good, and I feel like this Bengals team is still pretty decent for what it is. Ravens, they're still going to be competitive. They're still going to do all their thing. Steelers, question mark, and the Browns. It comes down to what is Deshaun Watson now. It comes down to him.
Yep.
Because they looked good last year with Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco and Deshaun Watson not the same player.
Yeah, I have the Ravens edging out the Bengals. I do have them tying at 12-5, but I think the Ravens, I gave them the edge because they split the matchup, but they win the most recent blah blah blah, whatever, all that fun little talk. Then I have the Bengals, then I have the Steelers, then I have the Browns. I think the Bengals won. I backed down on the Bengals a little bit because last year I was so high on them, and then everybody got hurt, and then they screwed me on everything that I predicted. The T. Higgins and Jamar Chase thing kind of worries me still. Jamar Chase, was hopeful to practice this week. Showed up 13 minutes late to practice in street clothes, didn't practice. So Joe Burrow without one or two of those guys can make an impact. You have some younger other receivers. You lose Joe Mixon. I like Chase Brown, but I think Joe Mixon was still better than Brown a little bit. And then their defense isn't anything too special, in my opinion. You got some pass rush, but I think the Ravens overall, adding Derrick Henry to that already run-heavy offense is huge. Your defense should still be pretty decent. I wanted to pick the Steelers to win the division, but looking at their matchups, I just don't. I just was like, it's not going to happen because you're Russell Wilson or Justin Fields playing above-average quarterback play away from potentially winning the division because your defense is so good. And then, like you said with the Browns, Deshaun Watson, it's a question mark. What are you going to get out of him? And then if he does get hurt or doesn't play, you got Jameis Winston. Well, Jameis Winston, yeah, fantasy value, great, but he's not a winner. Not a winner. So
no, not unless he's at FSU.
Yeah, I think the Ravens edge it out just over that tiebreaker.
AFC East. I got the Bills. This was such a hard one too. Bills, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. I love the Jets. I really like the Jets a lot. Dolphins are hard. They have such a decent team. Tyreek Hill has been really good. Mike McDaniel's one of the best coaches in the league right now, and I just feel like they're not going to be first. In fact, the Bills are still the top dog in that division, but I think it's going to be a close one. And then the Patriots, they're not anywhere close to the rest of the three top teams. They might be the worst team in football, one of the worst teams in football. So. Yeah,
I have them, the Broncos, and the Vikings all like the bottom three teams this year. The Pats, Broncos, and Vikings.
I'll bet you the Vikings aren't a bottom three team.
They might not be, but I have them as bottom three this year just because I don't trust Sam Darnold at all.
Savior Sam's going to take us to the promised land.
So I'm high on the Jets this season. If the biggest thing is Aaron Rodgers just being healthy. if you don't have Zach Wilson at quarterback last year, or who was it? Was it Mike White? No. Yeah, it was Mike
No,
White.
they didn't have Mike White. No, they didn't have Mike White. Mike White was a couple years ago. They had Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle.
Yeah. If you didn't have them at quarterback last year, they probably win the division because the Bills struggled for a little bit. You know, Josh Allen put him on his back a little bit and came back, but I have the Jets winning it. I have the Dolphins finishing in second, and I have the Bills finishing in third. I think the Bills have too many significant losses for Josh Allen to put him on his back like he did last year. I still think they win 10-plus games, but because of how tight the Dolphins and Jets will be with them, I just think the Bills will be third, and then I have the Patriots coming in with like maybe 3 wins in the season, so bottom of the barrel there.
AFC South. You got the Jags winning it all. I got the Texans, Colts, and Titans.
Same order as I did.
I think the Jags. Trevor Lawrence has got to be good eventually. I think this Texans team way overplayed what they were last year. So rebuilding team, it almost hurts a team when you're that good, that successful, that quickly. I think that they still are going to be good. I think we'll really see how good C.J. Stroud is because people hype him up for what he was. He didn't really have that crazy of a rookie year if you look at the numbers. It was good, but it wasn't like it was like, not rookie of the year Puka Nacua crazy.
He was winning games. He was winning games he wasn't supposed to win. And that was the big thing. That was it.
Yep.
Like, they were just winning games that they should have not been.
But the stats weren't there, and you know what? They overplayed what they're supposed to, and that's okay. I'm not saying that's not a knock on C.J. Stroud. That's not a knock on anyone else. I just don't. I think it's a little overhyped, in my opinion. The Texans feel to me. The Colts. Colts are a hard team to rank because it all depends on Anthony Richardson. If he's good, he'll take that team as far as he wants to go. And then the Titans are another one. Like I don't think that he's ever going to be a top 5 quarterback, but honestly, depending on how good they are, I almost said Zach Mettenberg. What is their fucking quarterback name? God, dude, why did I almost say Zach? Will Levis. It depends on how good Will Levis is, to be honest. I mean, he could be really good. I think that this team has a lot of talent on offense. We'll see, but I just feel like they're fourth.
Yeah, I have the Jags and Texans tying for the seat. This is my big one, is having them tie. But I have the Jags getting the tiebreaker. I have the Colts third and the Titans fourth. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a little bit smarter with his body this year after dealing with what he did last year. I mean, fantasy-wise, he was going to be a good quarterback fantasy-wise.
He's going to be like top 3.
His stats didn't look great because what he have like 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. Like as a passer, he wasn't looking good. I hope that he improved as a passer with his time off. But then you rely on him. You did add Adonai Mitchell, so you do have like 2 solid receivers now, I'd say.
And I think he's being slept on this year too, Adonai Mitchell.
Well, because the biggest one is
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson's got to throw the ball. I think the Texans did overplay themselves. Their defense, when you look at who they have on their defense, it's really not anything special. Everybody just did their jobs very well. And I think adding Diggs isn't all the roses and all that stuff that people are saying it is.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wouldn't go that far. I'm big on Diggs.
No. I'm not saying from a production stance. I'm stating from a locker room stance here. If something doesn't go his way, he's gonna say things. He's gonna get vocal about it. You know, that we saw it with the Bills, we saw it with the Vikings. It's not like all of a sudden it's not gonna happen.
Sorry, Stephon.
So it'll be interesting to see how that's all held down too. Some being being on a team with a lot more younger players than what he would have been with the Bills and Vikings. is there anybody that's going to keep him in check? Is there any those type of things? Those are the questions that I have for at least off the field. On the field, fine. You got 3 good wide receivers. C.J. Stroud played pretty well. I'm not really worried about that, but then the Titans last. Just you don't know what you're going to get with Will Levis.
No. So you're going to be great or bad? Then my last one, the AFC West. You got the Chiefs. This might surprise you. I put the Chargers as 2. The reason being, I just feel like John Harbaugh is not going to let this team be total shit. It may suck for fantasy, but I feel like this can be a competitive team. Put the Raiders as 3 over the Broncos. I know we got so much hype over Bo Nix. I just feel like the Raiders, Gardner Minshew's a veteran. They have some talent on that offense. Defense is getting scrappier. They should have a top 10 defensive line in the league at least with what they did in the offseason. And then the Broncos, there's too many holes there, man. I think the Broncos are going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I know that we got Bo Nix hype. I want to see it. I want to see it in the NFL. He played college football for 25 fucking years. I want to see what he can do in the league. So if he's actually legit, if he's actually what Sean Payton said, we got the guy we wanted. We baited the Vikings into trading up for what's his face? Why can't I think of our quarterbacks? God,
JJ McCarthy.
JJ McCarthy. We tried to bait him. Put your money where your mouth is. Show me, because beating out Stidham, okay. Beating out freaking Zach Wilson, okay. That's not crazy to me.
Yeah. So I have the exact same order as you do. Patty Mahomes, as long as Patty Mahomes is on the Chiefs, as of right now, going to be hard to discredit that. Chargers, I have going 8-9 at number 2. They're going to, if you ever watched Michigan, you ever watched Harbaugh at Michigan, they played nitty, they played gritty, the teams got bought in, and they're going to play for him. Like, you got players that are going to play for him. You're not gonna get the guys that don't want to show up, don't want to play. We're gonna suck anyway, so whatever. Same thing with the Raiders. Pierce comes in. Last year, they start winning games. A lot of those people are bought into that. Their defensive front line is going to be insanely crazy. Gardner Minshew, I think, is an upgrade of Aiden O'Donnell, clearly. And they added offensive weapons. So, and then, the Broncos are just, there's too many holes. Their offensive line's trash. They lost Jerry Jeudy, who wasn't great, but your next best right now is Marvin Mims, who barely did anything last year. Bo Nix is a rookie. I'm high on Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is an NFL-ready quarterback, but it's one of those situations where you could be as good as you want to, but you're getting put with a team that's going to allow 22-plus points a game, and your offense is only going to be able to put up 17, So I don't think the Broncos will be good for the next couple of years. And Sean Payton's your head coach. I don't think everybody's bought into Sean Payton.
Sean Payton's kind of a douche. I think Sean Payton's overrated coach, to be honest. So next we did the playoff teams. I didn't do them in any particular order. I just took the 7 from each division that I thought would make it. Start with AFC. I got the Bengals, Ravens, Jags, Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Jets.
Okay. So, you said the Bengals. Read it off again.
Ravens.
Okay.
Jags.
Okay.
Bills. Dolphins. Jets.
Okay. So I have
Chiefs and the Chiefs.
I have all the same as you, except I think the Texans get in over the Bills this year.
Interesting. I don't know. I feel like the Bengals are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm not going to bet against Josh Allen. He's a decent quarterback. Everyone I know, I've said that he's overrated. After last year, I bought into Josh Allen. NFC. I got the Lions, Eagles, Falcons, 49ers, Rams, Packers, Cowboys.
I have the Eagles, Lions, 49ers, Falcons, Cowboys, Bucks, Packers.
put the Bucks in over him, really.
I have the Bucks and Cowboys having a better record than the Rams, so
Yeah.
had to go with that. All right, next thing, fantasy. Our predictions on who will be top 5 at the quarterback, wide receiver, running back, tight end. Just go down your list of the 5 at whatever at quarterback, and then you can like kind of explain whatever. So
Yeah, so who I think will be number 1 in fantasy, who's been number 1 2 years in a row. I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm not going to bet against him. Number 2, I have Jalen Hurts with his rush ability and everything. I have Anthony Richardson at 3, who I'm very high on this year. I think that he's going to be crazy. Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. So if you noticed, all my top 5 are all running quarterbacks. Hint, hint, draft running quarterbacks because they're cheat code in fantasy. Scrambling for 40 extra yards is 4 extra points, so that's a big thing. Getting in touchdown, there you got 10, so it makes sense. Number 3, I'm big on Anthony Richardson this offseason. I just feel like he is Cam Newton 2.0. He's going to have rushing ability. He's a big guy. He can do all these things. He's in an offense that they're clearly building the offense around him. They'll be able to run the ball. JT being healthy just helps his cause because then he can use the option play where he keeps it or gives it to JT, passing the ball. He has, Josh Downs was decent last year. Michael Pittman's no scrub. And then adding Adonai Mitchell, that's a decent receiving core. If we were talking about Gardner Minshew as a starting quarterback for them, we'd be like, oh, well, we look at these players way differently than we do now. Defense is okay. It's not great. They're going to be competitive in that division. I feel that. Lamar Jackson, don't need to say much about Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray, at his value right now, quarterback 10, buy him. Buy him. He's going to have to throw the fuck out of the ball. It's a competitive division. He's a good quarterback. He's a good fantasy quarterback, at least. That's
especially
a bare minimum.
A top receiver available.
Yeah, buy it. I don't know what else to say but buy it. So you go ahead.
So I didn't do a particular order. I know you said to, but I was like, I can't really decide. I'd probably go Josh Allen 1 if he's been what was it, 2 or 3 years now? He's been the number 1. Even with all his turnovers, he gets it done on both ends. I'd go Jalen Hurts 2. New offensive coordinator. I think he's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. I think he does lose some goal line short touches, but he's going to make up for it in his passing game this year. I have Kyler Murray finishing 3. This one, I just think because of what he's coming into, I think he can be. I think you can do it. There's no reason not to. He's a year off the ACL. You add Marvin Harrison Jr. You're gonna be a team that your defense is still gonna give up points. He's gonna have to throw the ball. He's still super quick. He's gonna run. He's gonna scramble. If he doesn't average at least 45 rushing yards a game, I'd be shocked. I have Lamar Jackson at 4. I mean, it's Lamar. Can't count him wrong. And then my number 5 is I put Trevor Lawrence. He just got the contract. He's got to prove himself. The Jags need to have a big season. He was based off the per average of the top 5. He was 2 points outside the top 5. And I can think, and overall, I think between the number 5 and him or whatever was like a 40-point difference or something like that. And I can think of 24 points that could have been made up in one single game if his wide receivers knew how to keep 2 feet in.
I don't want to talk about that, but sure.
4 touchdowns. So I think Trevor Lawrence, he may not be as good of a scrambler like Lamar and Anthony Richardson, but he can still use his legs. Doug Peterson's gonna, use him as a whatever, and I think he can throw the ball a lot better than he did last year, have more touchdowns. So I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence.
Cool. RBs.
Yeah.
Number 1, Breece Hall. I've been talking about him all off season. I like CMC as a player. I guess I don't know if I like CMC. I've never really been a big CMC guy. I mean, he's good in fantasy. I just never got the value for him. Never really drafted him a whole bunch, but I got CMC number 2 saying that because I got respect for the man. He's a good player. He's a good dual threat. Next, number 3, Bijan Robinson. It might surprise you what I have. Well, probably not. Probably not. Well, maybe. Number 4, Jahmyr Gibbs. Stud, man. Just as good of a rookie season as Bijan Robinson, maybe better. Really looked good for all the shit that the Lions got for drafting him at pick 12 or whenever they did. He's looked good. He's been worth that pick at least the first year. And then 5, Travis Etienne.
That's a good list. I like that list.
I think Travis Etienne is. They're gonna run on that. He looked good last year. He's a dual threat guy. Like he looked like he could do it all. Who's his competition? Tank Bigsby? Didn't look that great. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just feel like Travis Etienne is gonna have another good year in a very easy Division 2 run. In, by the way.
Yeah. So I have Breece Hall I'd say Breece Hall number 1, 2. Same thing as you. Upgraded offensive line. You add Aaron Rodgers who can throw the ball. You can open up. You can't stack the box with 8 every time because Aaron Rodgers is just going to eat you up there. My number 2 is Bijan. I think Atlanta's going to let him loose, especially since you had Kirk. My number 3 is CMC. I wanted to move CMC down a little bit just because the only thing that worries me is he's had 2 good seasons of no injuries. It's bound to happen for something.
And 400 touches last year.
Like that's what worried me a little bit. I wanted to move him 4, maybe 5. My number 4 is Travis Etienne. Like you were saying, he has the workload last year, based off of like the points per game at running back. He was like 0.7 away from being a top 5 points per game running back last year. So, he'll get it this year. I just don't see it happening. I know you added. You replace Calvin Ridley with Brian Thomas Jr. You have all those wide receivers. He's still going to get a good workload, Tank Bigsby, and anything. And my number 5 is Saquon. I think Saquon, you can't count him out. I know the Eagles offense, everybody wants to talk about last year's Eagles offense, but it's a new coordinator that gets full reign of the plays. And what has this coordinator done besides last year with the Chargers, where it was
he's run the ball because he's had top talent at running back.
But yeah, he's got the ball in the player's hands. Zeke, like this Eagles offensive line is still good, even though we lost Kelsey. It's still a top offensive line. Saquon's on the best roster that he'll ever play on this year. Yeah, and one of those focal points is going to Well, I mean, next year we could get a better offensive line, maybe. I don't know, but I don't think that'll happen. But Saquon's bound to have a decent year. I think the whole tush push thing is going to kind of fall off a little bit this year, and
God, I hope so.
You're going to look
Saquon's at value wise.
Jalen Hurts had like 12 or 14 rushing touchdowns that way, or whatever. Lose 4 to 5 of those, and those go to Saquon.
Can I give my argument against Saquon?
I mean, sure.
Here's why. Sorry, 1 second. I love Saquon Barkley as a talent. I think he's super talented. Here's what worries me. Jalen Hurts is going to scalp that red zone. He's someone that needs, for Saquon to be successful at his value, he's going to need a lot of touchdowns because I don't think, which is Saquon's biggest strength, is catching the ball. I don't think he's going to catch a lot of balls out of this backfield. That's what worries me. So he's got to be uber efficient in rushing, and he's also got to score a lot of touchdowns. What Jalen Hurts is going to get hit, because if Jalen Hurts doesn't score a lot of rushing touchdowns, why am I drafting Jalen Hurts? Not because of his arm. It's because of his rushing ability. So it worries me a little bit with Saquon because he's got to be super efficient. And he's got to be more efficient than, and I think he's a better running back than, what's his nuts last year?
DeAndre
Swift. I think he's way more efficient than Swift, but in a better running back. I just worry because he's got to hit the touchdown mark to really pay off, because I don't see a lot of receiving game from him. And maybe they do. Maybe they pass to him, but I feel like these running quarterbacks, what they struggle with is dumping the ball down, especially someone. Jalen Hurts is not a run first quarterback, but he's a quarterback that likes to run, and I feel like that takes away from our running backs. So that's why I feel like Saquon is drafted more towards his ceiling than it is his floor, where he's going to be.
Yeah, I don't know. I think different offensive coordinator is going to make a difference with a lot of it. So I don't know. With the wide receivers, whatever.
That's stupid. Wide receivers. Number 1, CeeDee Lamb. I think that he has the best quarterback to finish number 1 overall. He's a very talented player. Love CeeDee Lamb, love the value. If you got him, if you take him first overall, I don't care. I like the value of him. Second, it's going to be controversial, but I think Justin Jefferson. He's quarterback proof. He showed it last year with Nick Mullins and Josh the Dobernot. Why can't I think of his first name? Josh. What's the quarterback?
Josh Dobbs.
Why can't I?
You said the Dobernot, so you said why can't I think of his first name? I was like, you keep saying his first name.
Second name, Dobernot, Josh Dobernot, or Josh Dobbs. I think that he's quarterback proof. I think Sam Darnold will be okay. He's not the best, but he also hasn't played with a team like the Vikings and have coaches like the Vikings. The Jets and the Panthers, and being a backup on the 49ers don't count. Next, Amon-Ra St. Brown, safest pick in the whole first round. Love the guy, the sun god. Great player, great after the catch. Tough, gritty. If he can play, he'll play. Just got paid. Don't worry about it. Next is a guy that I don't draft a lot, but I have had some before. Tyreek Hill. Should still have a good target share. Still gonna get the ball thrown to him. Tua loves him. He loves being on the Dolphins. He's happy, yada yada, whatever. Just got paid again. Like that. And then my number 5 is Garrett Wilson. I'm high on Garrett Wilson this year. Last year, I know there's a lot of, Garrett Wilson love. I feel like that's died off. And then this year, there's a little bit, but not as much as there was, considering Aaron Rodgers was hurt. People are kind of more reserved. Garrett Wilson had 1,000 yards with Zach Wilson. Thank you, brain, for working. Zach Wilson. 1,000 yards, Zach Wilson is kind of insane, to be honest. He looks good. He's talented. He was great at Ohio State. I feel like this is Garrett Wilson's year to show why he's a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. So my number 1 CD. I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Just his target share. He has nobody to compete with. He's going to get fed the ball. Lines up in the slot a lot. Going to get fed. My number 2 is JJ. I just think
really
they're going to be down a lot.
JJ
They're going to have to throw the ball. It's Marcus. I know you don't want to accept it, but they're going to be down a lot. Going to have to throw the ball a lot. He's going to have a lot more targets and receptions than what people think he's going to. I think you kind of may have to start moving in that offense. You may have to move him around a little bit more to get him, make sure he's getting touches and involved like CD and St. Brown do. Maybe not line up in the slot all the time, but start moving him around a little bit more. My number 3 is Tyreek Hill. I just think that offense has been so good with him. They feed him. Here, have a 1-yard pass and you take it 60 yards. Here's a 60-yard deep bomb to you because he's still so fast. It's hard to guard him. And when you have Waddle on the opposite end, can't do much there. Odell, don't know what you're going to get out of Odell. He's not going to play for at least the first 4 weeks, I think it was. But once he comes back, it's not like Odell can't catch a ball anymore or at least do something for you. And then with that run game last year where you had Jalen Wright, you're not going to be able to stack the box if you got to play the run more, if they're beating you on the run, and Hill's just going to get his touches and get his number. My number 4 is St. Brown. Is there any... I even got to give a reason on that one. And then my last one is kind of the whole JJ route. In terms of they're going to have to throw the ball a lot because they're going to be down, I feel like. I went Puka. I think last year everybody was like, oh, Cooper Kupp's going to come back. He's going to lose his touches. He's going to lose his target share. He's going to fall off. It's not going to be anything crazy. Didn't really happen. He's got a whole year under his belt now. He's got a whole offseason. I think Matthew Stafford absolutely loves him. And he plays in the slot, and he's a bigger receiver. Like, he is a good target for Matthew Stafford. You didn't bring in any wide receiver 3 that's anything crazy or worrisome or anything, like a Jahan Dotson type thing where targets will be taken. I think Puka is bound to have another good season, and probably even better than what he did his rookie season. And I think with having to throw that ball a little bit more, he's going to benefit from that too.
Yeah, like Puka. Puka's good. They got what's his face there back, so I wonder how much. This will be the defining year of how much is left in the tank for Cooper Kupp too.
Oh yeah.
I think it's inevitable. I think Puka is the one, but Cooper Kupp's still there. But that team's gonna have to throw the ball a lot this year, and I think that's gonna be good offense. Tight ends. Number 1, Travis Kelce. I'd rather be a year late than a year early on an NFL player. That's just how I feel. Travis Kelce's generational talent out of the tight end position. Done a lot. He was number 1 in points per game last year. I know that for a fact. I've heard that stat thrown around a lot. Do I think that he comes down a lot? Yes. I think Rashid Rice is legit. Someone that should be drafted more. It's going way too high. He's kind of climbing up draft boards now because people don't think he's going to get suspended. Number 2, George Kittle.
Yeah.
With the Brandon Ayuk situation going on, Brandon Ayuk gets scratched. He's probably going to sit out because it doesn't really matter. As long as he can stay healthy, he's going to get paid next year. Regardless, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't stay with the Niners, he's going to get paid. He might not be with the Niners. George Kittle's reliable, rugged, plays a lot of games. Will get hurt a couple times, but he'll still be good. And George Kittle is the epitome of peak. George Kittle can win you a game. He's not going to lose your game because most people don't get a lot of fantasy points from their tight ends. But he could be the number 1 scoring tight end 4 times out of the year, 5 times out of the year in crucial moments. You don't know. He's that kind of guy. My next one, I went back and forth. It's actually Trey McBride. I think that he's going to have a big target share. He's probably the 2nd target on that team underneath Marvin Harrison Jr., who I almost put in my top 5, I just want to say.
Yeah.
I'm higher on him than people think. People I haven't seen it. I don't care. Pedigree, what he is. He's going to get the most target share. Tell me another rookie wide receiver that's going to get a target share like he did. None. Jamar Chase, maybe his rookie year. He turned out pretty good, didn't he? He's not Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s way higher pedigree. Has a daddy that did it at a high level. Hall of Famer, may I add. That argument doesn't work with Brendan Rice, but it's okay. He wasn't as good in college, so whatever. Next one, I have Dalton Kincaid. Been high on Kincaid all year long. They lost so many pieces. He's a first-round pick, probably the highest pedigree pass catcher they have on that whole offense when it comes to draft position. Even over Keon Coleman, who I think was a second-round pick, right?
Yeah.
First pick, second round, I think is what he was. So I think that he has the highest draft pedigree. I think that this team is going to look for people. He's going to play in the slot. I don't care about freaking whatever, Dawson Knox. I don't care. He'll have 3 to 4 touchdowns. I would not be surprised if Dalton Kincaid leads this team in receptions. And then last one, I went back and forth with this one. I really want to put Jake Ferguson because I feel like he has a clear path to success. I pushed out and I put Sam Laporta. I wish I wouldn't have, but Sam Laporta is a hard one. I feel like he peaked last year with what he could be. I don't think he's going to be tight end 1 again. He had 10 touchdowns. I don't see that happening again. I feel like they're going to, with the addition of trying to get Jamison Williams involved, because they're like, well, we wasted a first-round pick on him, with Amon-Ra St. Brown still having such a hefty target share. And on top of that, I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take a lot out of this passing game. I think they are going to use Jahmyr Gibbs this year like Alvin Kamara. And I've been debating if Jahmyr Gibbs pick 9, him, Garrett Wilson, one of them's there. I mean, I'm saying this on the pod, but one of them be there. That's a hard pick for me. And I like them both so much. I want them both, actually. Can I have them both? Skinny, can you make that happen?
No, because I'll draft one of them.
Someone's going to take them. If I don't take one of them, someone's going to take them. They're not going to
either your wife, my wife, or me. Most likely.
Yeah.
I would think. I would assume, at least.
Yeah. So, either way, that's my list for tight ends. Jake Ferguson, honorable mention. Not a lot of targets vacated. Not really vacated, but a lot of targets that are going to be needed to be filled. And the Cowboys, I just think, are going to have to play a little bit more in games instead of lead. And I just feel like Zeke, love you, bud. Dalvin Cook, love you, bud. The rest of them don't love you, bud. But I just feel like this team is going to have to throw the ball around and show what they're made of, because I feel like the NFC in general is more competitive this year.
Yeah. So my number 5 is great. I just know that. So I'm gonna go. My number 1 is Kittle. I think Kittle with
really.
I think with the whole Brandon Ayuk situation, if he does either leave or not play, George Kittle's in for a big year. I know last year he was the only. He was like one of the. Was he the only tight end that broke 1,000 or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think his touchdown volume will increase because CMC is supposed to CMC is supposed to lose some touches this year, as they say, to make sure he doesn't get all beat up. Debo is whatever. I think George Kittle's in for a big season, especially in that red zone. Make sure he's getting to, because week 3 or 4 until he got his first touchdown type thing. It's for somebody like him, shouldn't be going like that. So I think Kittle will get it. Then I have Kelsey at number 2. You can't. Kelsey's Patty Mahomes' favorite target. They're gonna throw the shit out of the ball. He's gonna get him his touches. There's times where you're questioning what's going on, but he comes up in the crucial moments. First half he could have 1 catch for 2 yards and then finish the game with 150 yards receiving. So, and 3 touchdowns, because that's just how Patty Mahomes and him are. My 3 is Kyle Pitts. Very high on Kyle Pitts.
Yes, you are.
The Falcons offense, yeah, you have Bijan, but then your next best, Drake London's good, but I think Kyle Pitts is better.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Pitts is going to line up in multiple areas. He's going to be a better red zone target than anybody else on that team. I think Kyle Pitts is in for his best season as an NFL tight end, which he's only had 1 decent season, which is his rookie year. I think Kyle Pitts is just going to have a season with Kirk Cousins, especially, Kirk Cousins, big reliable when Justin Jefferson was out. DJ Hawkinson, until Jordan Addison kind of started stepping up there. So
Skinny's ride or die right there.
Yeah, right. I hadn't fallen in the Kyle Pitts train the last couple of years, but this year I'm going to fall on that train because I think it's time. My number 4 is Trey McBride. Outside of Marv Harrison Jr., he's going to get a lot of touches. He was breaking out end of last year too. So Kyler, he's definitely on Kyler's radar. And then my number 5 is going to be very controversial, but I can explain it. Number 5, Taysom Hill.
I've heard people make these arguments. I know what you're going to say.
He plays every fucking goddamn position. They love him in the red zone, but they don't really have a tight end anyway. And receivers, you have Chris Olave. Even in the pass game, he's one of those guys that are going to be able to go out and run routes and get open. I feel like this is the year that he is going to be incorporated into the offense more than we've probably ever seen him incorporated in that offense, which is a lot some of these years, but I think he's going to play a pretty decent amount for them not really having any true tight ends. And, Derek Carr is still in the question of what's going on, I'm liking Taysom Hill this year.
So watch out on your draft boards because Skinny's going to be taking Taysom Hill in like the 5th round.
No, I will take Taysom Hill very late if he's still available, maybe, or pick him up. But I think he has a potential to have a very good season at the tight end position, just because all of his stats get accounted for. And then the last thing we have is college football. Since that has started, we're going to do our pick'ems, but we're only doing pick'ems for top 25 matchups where they're playing against each other, because otherwise we'd have a list this
Laundry
big every
list
of games. So first off, just want to cover last week. Georgia Tech upsets number 10 FSU.
Crazy.
Yeah, game-winning field goal kick. FSU did not look good. FSU's defense could not stop the run, so any teams that are going to be playing FSU this year, if you can run the ball, run the ball. They gave up 190 rushing yards, and Georgia Tech averaged 5.3 yards a carry. So that was significant there.
It's a lot of attempts.
Yeah. Well, 5.3 yards per carry. That's a lot of yards per carry to be given up. So, yeah, run the ball if you can play against FSU. This week, there's only 3 games that we'll have our pick'ems on. So there's games Thursday to Monday, all this week. That's the best part about it, is that's what we get right before the NFL season starts. So Saturday we have Georgia, number 1 Georgia playing number 14 Clemson. Number 1 Georgia is favored by 13.5 points.
Give me Georgia.
I have Georgia. I have Clemson in that fantasy pick'em, and I really want to take Clemson just because of that. But I think I got to go Georgia too. Still pretty good. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna take Clemson. I'm gonna take Clemson. Fuck
Bad
it.
pick.
I'm gonna take Clemson. It's fine. I'm gonna take Clemson. And then we have number 7 Notre Dame versus number 20 Texas A&M. Texas A&M is favored by 3.
Over Notre Dame?
Notre Dame lost Sam Hartman, lost your starting quarterback, lost Audric Estime, starting running back. I mean, you lost some pieces there.
Still give me. I know they're favored. I know this is. No, they're not favored. I guess. Give me Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'll take Notre Dame too. And then Sunday we have number 23 USC versus number 13 LSU. LSU is favored by 4.
Give me LSU 100%.
And then for our Iowa State fans, number 25 Iowa plays Illinois State. Iowa is favored by 22.5 that game. And then Iowa State plays
22.5 spread.
Oh, get ready. ISU plays North Dakota, and they're favored by 28.5. I've never seen a line like that for Iowa State ever. I'm not.
Well, give me both of them. But still.
We're not doing those for our pick'ems. Every week I just bring up the Iowa State games. Yeah, fun-filled week. Are we doing a fantasy mock? No, good. Okay.
We should, but fuck, dude.
We can do it tomorrow and Friday and all that. It's fine.
I won't be able to do it tomorrow. I'll be busy tomorrow.
Okay, Friday night, Saturday morning. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Just nothing but that. We have we have my draft coming up on Saturday. Your draft on Sunday. We'll have some mocks in there. It's gonna be a busy weekend. A lot of football. We won. We're 1-0 in our flag football leagues. We won on Sunday and we won on Tuesday.
Both blowouts. Have not allowed a score yet. So
yeah, no scores. I don't know. I made a crazy catch on Sunday. Skinny was like, "Wow,
didn't count though. Didn't count.
It counts enough." So
no, whatever. I had a touchdown in the actual matter of fact. So no big deal.
Yeah, zero touchdowns in both leagues. I guess. One in a scrimmage.
Marcus's draft will be at 6 Saturday?
Yeah, we'll live stream
6 Saturday, we will be live streaming it. It's an auction, so if you have never done an auction and want to see how that goes, we'll have people from the league joining in on Discord.
In and out, yeah.
Whoever wants to join. So if we'll be talking whatever. And then Sunday we'll have my draft. I'm not gonna live stream that because no point. Because it's most of us are gonna be in person, so it's just hard to do that. And then next week, we'll get into the nitty gritty. Shout out to Skylar for winning the jersey giveaway. I know it seemed rigged, but it wasn't. I promise.
I was there.
Yeah.
Skylar and me, I know we are friends now. We weren't always. It took till last year in fantasy, us both sucking in Skinny's league to bond. But Marcus's friend, or Skylar's friend, question mark is my name in the thing. But yeah, it was completely fair. I watched Skinny do it. I wouldn't let this man cheat just for his friend.
Yeah, I wasn't going to. All right, I put it in. I spun it. It hit him. That's all I could go with. So
he knew he was number 14.
Oh yeah, because I just knew. I just knew. Just knew.
He knew.
When I messaged him, he even was like, "Man, these guys are gonna think it's rigged." I've only had 2 people say it was rigged. So
who else said it was rigged?
Rudy
Name
messaged
drop.
me. It was like
Rudy thought it was rigged,
Yeah.
And who else said it?
My sister.
Milton?
No, my sister.
Oh, your sister?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's like, wow,
Milton's
that's
nigga?
pretty rigged. But yeah, no, that's it. Next week, so next week be prepared. Next week we'll be covering like MVP, Coach of the Year, all that stuff.
Probably fantasy stuff right before.
Fantasy stuff, because we'll be releasing right before. So with that, follow us on Instagram, Spotify.
Anywhere you get your podcast needs.
No, not anywhere you get your podcast needs. TikTok, YouTube, Insta, Facebook, all that. Dude, we're growing. We got 40 some, or hold on, let me go look. Our TikTok has been blowing up lately, so
It's been
blowing
on
up.
fire.
Blowing up, as I say, we have 40 followers, but we had 18 like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so
yeah,
it's growing.
It's growing.
90 subscribers. We're trying to get to 100 by the start of next season, so let's get 10 in a week, please. Share us, like us, market us,
like us,
do whatever.
love us. Turn on the notification bell. Watch our stuff.
Yeah, live stream 6. Terrible.
Go.